When the weapon fired, it was so powerful that it split our universe into two dimensions, Earth A and Earth B.
But that's not how dimensions work. Unlike in comics and sci-fi, a dimension is not a world or universe, none of that Marvel nonsense. A dimension is an axis or direction, with common examples being X, Y, and Z. An object or area with no dimensions is a point. It has no size, no volume, no shape. It is infinitely small, like the number of college students that don't have depression. One dimension can roughly be correlated to one direction. A one-dimensional object can be considered a string of no-dimension points, infinitely dense, lined up. A one-dimensional object has only length and no width or height. Two dimensions is the beginning of variation. With two dimensions, we get recognizable shapes like circles, trapezoids, and the incomprehensible scribbles spawned by toddlers. Any two-dimensional object can be considered to be made of a string of infinitely many one-dimensional slivers, infinitely dense, pressed together to make something with width. Two-dimensional space consists of two axes, commonly referred to as x and y. Two-dimensional or 2D objects can have length, width, or height. Pick two. Of course, they are flat and have no real depth. However, depth can be simulated via shading and clever manipulation of shapes. That's how screens work. The third dimension introduces depth, and as a natural byproduct, volume. A three-dimensional or 3D object consists of a string of two-dimensional cross-sections, infinitely dense, such that there is no space between them. Any given three-dimensional object has length, width, and height, and as such has volume. Even flat objects, like paper, have some width to them. Three-dimensional objects include things like people and furniture, though we aren't quite sure about cats. Though I have covered the three spatial dimensions we exist in, there is a fourth one that can be said to exist: time. Time consists of infinitely many moments, pressed together until one is indistinguishable from the other, and they flow smoothly from one to the next. Time is the reason things happen, and why motion can occur. It is entirely possible that more than three spatial dimensions exist, and they can be estimated and guessed at. For example, one can guess that a four-dimensional object is made out of infinitely many 3D cross-sections stacked along a fourth axis. Existing in three dimensions, we cannot truly comprehend this in four dimensions, but in three dimensions, a 4D object moving or rotating would appear to deform and change shape. However, we cannot directly observe one to prove that hypothesis.